Do you like run and gun games like Contra, Contra 2, Super C, and Contra Force? Well, let's leave out Contra Force. But do you like run and gun games? Well, have I got an NES game for you. NeMULEsis is a Contra-like run and gun action game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. You play as a mule commando who must shoot its way through 5 stages and destroy the space pirate hivemind. If this sounds like something you would like to play, stick around and I'll tell you where you can play a demo of this game or download the full game. So what do you get with NeMULEsis? Well, the game features 5 stages, there are at least 14 unique boss battles, you've got multiple weapons to pick up, and you're playing as a freaking mule with a machine gun. What else could you want on your NES? Now, something I should note, NeMULEsis is the 5th game in what's known as the MULEverse series. So what is the MULEverse? Well, creator John Vanderhoef has created 5 games so far. Wampus, Wart Worm Wingding, Bat Lizard Bonanza, Leggite, Luta, Lever, and this one here, NeMULEsis. Let's break down the individual parts of NeMULEsis. The graphics are pretty well done. For the most part, they do look like a lot of the other NES Maker games, which isn't a bad thing, but you start to see kind of a pattern going on as you play more and more of them. But the way that the graphics are implemented, it's a lot of fun, especially some of these bigger boss fight enemies. It's these enemies that make me think, okay, now this is a pretty cool game as far as graphics go. The sound is pretty standard as far as NES sounds go, but I will say that the soundtrack is pretty rockin'. And that's no wonder because the music was composed by Jordan Davis. Who's Jordan Davis? Well, he's also an NES indie developer, and he has a pretty rockin' band called Space Raft, which I dig. So it's no wonder the songs in this game come off catchy and approachable. Now, as far as the play control goes, I think the game controls pretty well, but it's also probably what I would call the worst feature of the game. And that's because of this one tiny caveat. When you are running and you push up, the mule stops in its tracks to shoot straight up. I don't know how many times I died because I'm shooting up instead of moving forward. Now, I know that can come down to user error, as well as I'm used to playing Contra, where you can shoot diagonally while you run forward, but if you try this here, you'll stop dead in your tracks and shoot straight up, which is not great if you have a bullet coming after you. Other than that, it's easy to dodge bullets, just like you would in a Contra game, and in fact, it might be even a little easier than Contra because your jump is a little more floaty than it is in Contra. Now, is this as challenging as Contra? I would say while NeMULEsis provides a challenge, veterans of Contra are going to blow right through this fairly easily. I'm by no means great at running guns like Contra or Super C, but NeMULEsis, I made it through in a sitting, which to me is a good time. It's not too difficult, but it's difficult enough where you're going to have to continue a few times to really understand the game and the gameplay. And there are going to be areas where you just have to go through it a few times to figure them out. So that brings us to replayability. Once you get through the game once, and you really get a good grasp on it, you're going to want to play it again and again just to see if you can do better than the first time. In fact, I can totally see different NES speedrunners and no-death runners playing this game a lot. Now, what about ingenuity? Well, this game doesn't reinvent the wheel. In fact, it pretty much just finds the formula and sticks straight to it. If anything, the ingenuity is in the characters and the story and playing as a freaking mule, which is fun. And that brings us to the fun factor. Is this game fun? I'm just going to flat out say yes. It's a fun game. I enjoyed my time with it, and I'm sure I'll play it a few more times. Especially because I'm not sure if this is the final game or if there are more updates to come. Because I think with 1 or 2 small tweaks, this game could become an absolute classic must-have homebrew. So what is the final takeaway on NeMULEsis? Well, first of all, I think if you're into Contra, you're going to dig it. And secondly, even though it's the 5th game in the series, it's kind of a cool introduction to all the other games that John has put out. I highly suggest you go to his itch.io page, where he has demos that you can play right now, or you can purchase his entire catalog and experience his MULEverse. Each game is of a different genre, so to speak, but they all do connect in some way. But I'm curious to know what you think. Does NeMULEsis look good to you? Are you a fan of run and gun games like this? And if so, what run and gun games do you suggest people play on the NES? Heck, if you have any games on the NES you want to hear me cover, just leave a comment below and we'll see what we can do. We've got a ton of NES videos on this channel if you like the NES. We've got other kinds of videos too. I'd appreciate it a lot if you'd give them a watch, tell your friends, and until next time, we'll see you soon.